So, as I do this, and I'm trying to ease back into YouTube, which is a totally new world to me, completely different. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, stop with all the talking videos and stuff, get to the action. And they coming. It's coming. I swear. Stick with me. It's just what I'm doing at first is I'm trying to get everything out to you guys and across to you, the situation at hand, things like that, so that you'll understand I can't go straight back to where I left off. I'm going that way, but as I come back to YouTube, one of the things that I didn't miss while I was gone, and to be honest with you, it's kind of some of the reason why I stepped away when I did, because with everything that was going on, I had enough on my plate anyway. I didn't need the extra headache or stress of this kind of thing. And one of the things you've always had to deal with if you're gonna put stuff on the internet, especially at YouTube, is trolls. You're gonna have negativity, and you're gonna have trolls. You're gonna have people just trying to piss you off and stuff. And trust me, when I first started this gig 13 years ago, it was bad. It was bad then, and I didn't know how to take that. I mean, I'm a country boy from back here in the backwoods, and people treat each other with respect. They don't intentionally try to piss people off, and they don't intentionally try to be a dick because they can do it, because you're hiding behind a keyboard, and they can say whatever they want. And when I first had to deal with that, and when we first started, I wasn't very good at it. And I refused to let Heather even read comments at YouTube when we first started, because it was bad. I see now YouTube is trying to get a handle on that situation, or it's a whole lot better now than what it was back then. But the only thing is when you do still get the rude comments, or the people that don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they're going to tell you how to do things and how to live your life and all this stuff, like they know everything about you, is I used to get in some really good keyboard fights back in the day with people like that on YouTube. And in fact, I'd been told many times, because I would have straight out wars in the first year or two, keyboard wars, and people would tell me, man, your comments and your fights and your comment sections probably more important, entertaining than your videos are. But I did that for a long time, and I finally realized, what are you doing? I mean, these people are idiots, just you're giving them what they want. You're biting. The trolls are looking to feed, and you're feeding them. So at some point I learned to stop doing that. But what sucked for me was it kind of meant that I stopped reading comments for the most part, to keep myself from jumping back into those fights. And it kept me from, really connecting with people in the comment section and stuff, more so than I should have been more into that and just had better control over myself. But what I'm getting at is, as I'm starting back up, I get to see some of this again, and trying to learn to deal with it again, and try not to fall into it. And some of it, in the last 3 videos, I've jumped in on some comments, nothing terrible. YouTube has made it to where I can't say what I want to say. They have made it better. People can't be as vulgar or as bad as they used to be, but I attempted to be pretty rough and rude with a couple, or a few, that I ended up just finally removing the comments, and realized that, hey, YouTube won't allow me, it won't post the comment. And on top of that, it keeps warning me. So I don't know the new, community guidelines of today's YouTube, and I'm learning. So, and some of this stuff I try to address in some of them, and in others I'm just flat, deleting them. And I got to get my troll blocking abilities going again in my head. But as I read some of these things, I thought, maybe I should address some issues, because I'm sure I picked up a lot of subscribers along the way that, I know I did, that when I wasn't producing, and they don't really know about, my story, our old stuff, what got us here, stuff like that. They just seen some videos that we posted. And so I thought maybe I should address some of these situations. You know, they're like, oh, you're trying to use YouTube to make money and you can't do that. People, look, this is a situation. I've made my living from YouTube for the past 13 years. I was extremely lucky to be able to do that. And the thing is, I'm one of the very first original YouTube partners there ever was, back when they had partnerships still. Today, you know, people, it's a totally different world. All kind of people trying to make money at it by the millions. Back when I was doing it, it was by the hundreds. You know, there wasn't very many of us. Yeah, we made money at YouTube, but do you know why? Do you know how we got into it, why we got into it, and why I continued to do that? Yeah, 13 years ago, I was a truck driver. I was married to Heather. We had 2 kids, 2 daughters. You guys have seen them, Haley and Carly. And we lived in, you know, a normal life in our area. The incomes are not very high, and the little truck driving job I had paid good. We lived fine, you know, but it wasn't like we had a lot of money. And I'd done that for many years. I was 32 years old. Jeff, 3230, comes from, my name is Jeff. 32 was my age, and 30 was Heather's age when all this started. You know, I'm a truck driver. I'm at work one day and doing something I'd done hundreds of times before. I was getting out of the scale house, got out of my truck at a scale house, gonna drop off a load of scrap iron that I had, and it was raining that day, 12 o'clock, straight up noon. And when I got out, you know, it was raining, I went to run in, I was like, oh crap, I forgot my paperwork in the truck. So I jumped back into the truck, sorta, halfway into the truck on the driver's side, leaned over, grabbed the paperwork that I needed, and, you know, had a hold of the door and went to climb back down quickly because it's raining. Well, it's wet also. And I slipped from the second step of my 18-wheeler I was driving. So my feet were off the ground, I don't know what, a couple feet, something like that. Now keep this in mind. When I was young, we ran the woods, we played all these sports. I was the roughest kid you can imagine, teenager, all this stuff, you know, played every sport there was. You know, we done crazy stuff when I was young. Never broke a bone in my life. Never broke a bone in my life. And whenever I slipped off the side of that truck, I put my arm out to catch myself as I went over, you know. This is just a natural reaction. And when I did, you know, I hit the ground, that's what it sounded like. And to me, that was just my butts hitting the ground, you know, that sound. And I'm embarrassed because, you know, I'm in a place that people could possibly see me, have done that. I'm embarrassed I just fell off the side of my truck. So as I went to get up, I realized something was wrong with my arm. It wasn't working right because I couldn't pick myself up with it. I was trying to pick myself up with it. And I turned and I looked at my arm. And at this point, there was a new elbow. All this was going this direction, right here, right in this spot. And it was instant shock to see a body part out of place so badly. It was like, holy crap. And then the pain hit it instantly. So it was like the shock of what happened, shock of what I was seeing, and the pain level was something I'd never experienced before. Hopefully I never will experience that much again. I have a high pain tolerance. That was, I mean, it was bad. So I had to work myself up off the ground, go around the truck and go in the scale house to get help. And so I get in the scale house, and these guys in there, they knew me because I come in there all the time, and they had a really high counter. The counter is about chest high, right? And they're sitting at their desk behind the counter, further towards the wall. And when I approached the counter, I had my arm like this, but I was leaned over. And I had my arm by the elbow, that's right, holding it up like this. And I was leaned over as I come in, and they couldn't see me because of the high counter. And I'm hollering, hey, call my boss, call my boss. And they's like, who is that? I said, it's Jeff, call my boss. And they're like, why? I said, I broke my arm. They're like, how do you know you broke your arm? So I stood up and I got it. You know, I got the arm by the wrist and holding it like this. And it's like, oh my God. And they start freaking out on me, you know, running around. And one of them's calling my boss, and the other one runs to the back to go get me some ice to put on this thing. And you know, I'm doing everything I can to keep it together. I mean, I'm pouring sweat. Now it was first part of the summer. It was in May, right? May. No, it was in June. It was in June because we had just had our son. It was just a newborn, only a few weeks old. We, you know, when this accident happened. So I got 3 kids and a wife. One's a newborn to take care of, and so the guy comes from the back and he's got a can of Nestle iced tea, okay? A 12-ounce can of Nestle iced tea. He said, look, this come out of the cooler. It's cold. Hold it on the arm. And I'm like, so I kill this thing of iced tea because I'm beating sweat, and they're like, man, what are you guys like? Man, that ain't gonna do nothing for this, you know? And I still, you know, I've got it by the wrist, but it's out here. And I'm like, man, you know, this is bad. And the guy says, your boss said he's 20 minutes out. He's on his way. He's coming to get you. And he's going to take you to the hospital. And, you know, and I'm not sure if I can hold it together any longer. So these guys were feminine, okay? That's just the best way to put it. That, you know, they were feminine. And they're standing right in my face, you know, and they're like, well, what are we doing? And I was like, and when something's that far out of place, the muscles freak out because, you know, the structure's not there. It's not used to this, and the muscle is spasming, which is making it jump, and it's stabbing into the bone even more. I mean, not the bones are stabbing into the muscle even more, which is causing it to be worse, you know. It's like an ongoing cycle here, and I'm like, I got to straighten this out. I can't stand this. I'm gonna have to straighten it out. They're like, no, don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. And I'm like, no, I can't take it. So, you know, I got it by the wrist. I pull out so the bone comes out of the muscle, pull out, and then reset it back to where it's supposed to go and wrap my hand around it and then held it down straight. Things got a lot better after that. I can tell you right now, if you ever break something that's that far out of place, put it back in place. It gets better after that. But when these guys seen me do this, one of them passes out when I've reset my arm in front of him, as bad as out of place as it was. And he passed out on me. So about that time, the secretary walks into the room, and I turned to her and I said, you think you can just take me to the hospital? Because it ain't but like 2 or 3 miles down the road here. And she's like, yes, load into my car and I'll take you. And she put me in the back of the car. They took me to the emergency room. It's the first time ever that, you know, they put me in a wheelchair that I got to go straight to the back, not go sit in the waiting room and, you know, wait your turn before you can go to the back. I got to go straight to the back. And so I'm laying on this gurney. No, I'm sorry. They wheel me in a wheelchair, and I'm hunched over, you know, because I'm holding pressure around the broke spot on my arm, and I'm holding it straight down so that the gravity, you know, is holding it like, you know, in place. And it's all I can do to keep it together because the pain level is just unbearable. So I'm trying to keep it together, you know, and these nurses are all around me and stuff, and they're trying to tell me, you got to get up on this gurney. You got to lay on this gurney. I'm like, no, look, I just got to where I can half stand myself without passing out. Just leave me where I'm at, you know. And they're like, no, you have to get on the gurney. I was like, I'm not getting on the gurney. They said, well, if you'll get on the gurney, we'll give you some morphine. I said, where you want me at? So they helped me get on the gurney. You know, I'm trying to hold it straight. Now it's laid across my chest. And they gave me well, they put in an IV. They just wanted to start trying to take my wedding band off. This is not the wedding band I was wearing at the time, by the way, because they wanted to try to take it off, and it was like a, you know, a ring around a tree that grown too long. And they couldn't, I mean, just the slightest pull on the arm was killing me. I'm like, no, you can't do that, can't do that. They said, it's got to come off. And I'm like, no, it don't. I said, if either we can pull it off or we're going to have to cut it off. I said, you're going to have to cut it off then. And Heather's just going to be pissed about it. So, yeah, I still have that wedding band. It's cut perfectly with the tool they got, and I ended up getting a new one. But, so, you know, the morphine's kind of kicking in. I'm laying there in the bed, kind of starting to feel it. And they left me alone for a minute. And then probably, I don't know, well, I don't really know because I was messed up how much time went by. The nurse pops back in and she says, you okay? You okay now? I said, nope. And she said, well, maybe I can see if the doctor let you have another. I was like, yes, please. I definitely need a double shot. And so they went and asked the doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, I can have another one. They gave me another one, and I pretty much won out after that. So that's pretty much how that went. And Heather was injured at the time, and she couldn't even come up. Plus, she had the small newborn baby, so she couldn't even come up to the hospital where I was at. So my mom had to come and take care of me. They put me in the hospital that night for me to have surgery the next day, because with the x-rays they took showed that it was going to require surgery to fix it. And you know, to me that was no big deal, because I knew a couple people that had similar surgeries to a forearm, and I'm thinking, yeah, they'll get me fixed up, no big deal, you know, not a problem. So I stayed the night. It was the next day before they do the surgery, and what they end up doing is when they chopped it up, I mean, you know, I have the scar across the back where they worked on the back bone, and I got 2 scars in the front, okay? 2 big scars, anyway. So they finally get to me the next day. It's 5 o'clock the next evening. This happened 12 o'clock the day before. And they told me that they're gonna have to remove fragments out of the ulnar bone, the big one. There's a skinny one, I forget what it's called, radius I think is what it's called, and the ulnar bone, the big one, had shattered right here. And they were going to have to remove those fragments out of it, because they were dead. They're not going to work no more. Remove those fragments, and they're going to put in artificial bone graft. Okay, well, I mean, you're the doctor, I'm going with what you say. So they do the surgery. They, you know, cut it both sides all the way to the bone. They put in artificial bone graft. They put a steel plate on both of the bones, screw them on, stitch me back up, and then I go through rehab 3 times a week, 2 hours each time, for like 3 months. And after 3 months, they said, well, we got bad news for you. The bone's not healing back. It's not going to heal back. That graft is not taken. We're going to have to go in to your hip, chisel, okay, not cut, chisel out a piece of bone to put in to your arm to try to get its graft. I'm like, okay. So we go in and we do another surgery, and 6 months later, it doesn't work. All this time still doing the, you know, the therapy and stuff. And so they gear up, and we go in and they chisel more bone out of the other hip, and which caused me a lot of issues too, by the way, to cut into the hips and having to wear a bag on my side. They had a tube going down into my hip that sucked blood off of it for a couple of weeks or something. Anyway, they do that. I go through a lot more rehab. After about a year or so, maybe a little more than that, they told me that the bones were healing, and that they could, if I wanted, they could go in and remove the plates. And I said, yeah, I need you to remove the plates, because my arm did not rotate. You think about this motion, and you think about this motion, but you never think about this motion. Now see, this one, you know, everybody's a normal one would rotate pretty much all the way over 180 degrees. I still only have like 90, a little over 90%, 90 degrees rotation. But at that time, it didn't rotate at all. I mean, it was like nothing. So I asked for them, you know, yeah, well, we can go ahead and take the plates out. So they put me back in again and cut me, you know, took the plates off and realized that the bone wasn't healed. It was still broke. It's just with the x-rays they took, the plate was hiding the part where they needed to see, or what they couldn't see, where it was broke. And I'm in disbelief. And so they start talking to me, and they're gearing up to do another one. This time we're gonna, you know, cut into this hip, and we're gonna go into the bottom of your leg, and we're gonna take a blood vessel out of the bottom of your leg that we're gonna force feed the blood into so-and-so and this and that and all like dudes. No, I mean, I'm not gonna do that. This is, you know, I've done rehab all this time, the whole time been chopping me up for the past 1.5 years, 2 years. This ain't going nowhere. I'm tired of doing this, you know. And so I've refused to do that again, but they still had to go back in again to put a plate. This bone healed, but they had to go back in again and put a plate back on this bone to hold it straight for me, because nothing was holding it straight. It was just flopping in the wind. And so they put a plate back on this bone to hold it straight, but that's it. My arm 13 years later is still broken, okay? So even though I use it some because there's a steel plate that holds that one big bone straight, it's a massive problem. I just know how to deal with the pain. I know my limitations. I got about 10% usage out of everything from here down, which is made the rest of this week too. But other than that, it's pretty much worthless. This arm does all the work. So, and that's what happened. Now, why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because that's why I got into YouTube to start with, because it was a bad deal. My boss that I had at the time was screwing workman's comp, and he was only claiming half my hours on workman's comp. Gambling, nothing would ever happen, you know. Well, something did happen, and whenever they came to me, him and his mother, to tell me that well, we haven't been actually claiming all the, you know, the stuff on workman's comp, so we got a little bit of a problem. I'm like, yeah. And I like these people. I've been working for them for years, you know, they were my friends. So they said, look, this is what we're going to do, because we're all thinking I'm only going to be down for, you know, a month or two, something like that, and I'll be back to work, no big deal. So they cut me a deal. They said, look, what we'll do is you go ahead and go through workman's comp, and, you know, tell them, you know, that you only worked half the hours that we have you down for, and they'll give you a check, and then we'll pay you cash for the other part they're not going to be giving you. By the way, I was high on pain medications when this all come up, and you had this conversation. I was like, yeah, okay. So, because I was in the hospital when it happened, I had this conversation. We'll go for that. And so what it comes down to, workman's comp only pays you 2/3 of what it was you were making while you're out. Well, they're only claiming half. So now workman's comp is paying me 2/3 of 1/2 of what I had been making, okay? It's 160 bucks, like $160 a week is what workman's comp was giving me. But my boss and, you know, the company was gonna give me that other part. And they did for about the first 3 weeks. But the first 3 weeks, about 4 weeks, they started to realize it was gonna take, my situation was worse than they thought, and they weren't gonna be able to continue to afford to pay me like that. So they stopped. So now, here I am with a wife, 2 girls, you know, 2 young girls. Haley was what, like, Haley would have been 7 or 8. Carly, so that makes Carly about 5. And I have a brand newborn son, you know, 3 weeks old. And I'm getting 160 bucks a week to take care of my family. Needless to say, also, I had a lot of downtime because here I am, you know, both hips are now, my hips are chopped up, which caused a lot of issues with the, and then the way I could, you know, I couldn't walk right for a long time, which ended up screwing up my back, compound more problems. Screwed up my lower back. Both hips still give me issues. This arm still broke, you know. What am I gonna do? I'm getting 160 bucks a week from workman's comp, and my family's starving, and I owe everybody I know money. They're trying to help me out, us out, you know, just you know, out of the goodness of their heart, offering to help us and stuff. My mother and my different family, you know. So as I'm sitting at home watching internet videos, this is before YouTube became real big. It was big, but it wasn't like today. I'm watching internet videos that a friend of mine from Canada had sent me, you know, and I realized one of them says, the producer of this video has earned 1,200 bucks off of it. It's got a plaque right beside the video. I'm like, what? Seriously? I mean, it's funny, it's cool, but they really paid this person 1,200 bucks, you know? And so as I'd seen that, I clicked and I go to the site and I start looking, and I realized this site, which was called MetaCafe, by the way, was paying people to produce videos for their site. And I'm like, what? So as I looked through their program where people was making money, I'm like, oh no, I can make a whole lot better videos than that, because I had software and a PC and cameras and stuff to make home videos of my children, you know. That's where my little bit of editing skills I had came from, was from me making my own home family videos of my wife and my kids. So I had the equipment and I had the know-how, and I'm like, I can make way better than this. I'm going to give it a try. And I mentioned it to Heather to start with, and she's like, that's a scam. There's no way they're going to pay you money for that. I'm like, they're not asking for money. It's free, you know? So I'm trying to talk her into it. She's like, hell no, that's a scam. I said, well, I'm going to try it. And I got Robbie, because I needed somebody to help me with it. I got Robbie. I said, hey man, look, we can see if we maybe make a couple videos, make a video, and see if we might be able to make some money off of it from this website. Yeah, okay, you know, Robbie, he's in for anything. So we go and we make it's a spoof video about ghost hunters. It was huge back then. And we make this video and we upload it to the site, and it meets their quality standards. It has to hold a certain rating for like 3 out of 5 stars, and if you can reach 20,000 views at that rating, they'll give you $100, and then they'll give you a half a penny for every view after that. And so we tried it, and it worked, and we met the quality standards, and they mailed me a check. I'm like, wow, you know, I need to figure this out, because I've got to find a way to be able to support my family, my kids, you know, because I'm screwed up. So we produced another video. And I told Heather, I'm like, you need to get in with us, because nobody wants to watch me and Robbie, a couple, you know, ugly ass rednecks from backwoods and stuff. Because Heather's always done the things me and Robbie done with us all our lives, fishing and well, she never hunted, shooting and all that stuff. You know, she's a country girl. I'm like, you would be more entertaining for the masses. And she's like, no, I don't believe it. It won't work. So me and Robbie produced another video, and it met the quality standards and stuff, and they paid me. And the next month they sent me a $410 check. I'm like, might be something to this. This might work. You know, I can't continue to do the things I did before, you know, changing tires and big tire, OTR tires, and driving big truck, and you know, carpentry work and stuff. That's done. I can't do that anymore. I don't have the physical ability to do it no more. I'm screwed up. But maybe I can make money at this. When they sent me the $480, but no, it's $410. I'm like, you know, I went to Heather again, like, you know, check this check out. It's real. You know, we go put it in the bank. It's real. I'm like, Heather, we got to have this. We can do it. I'm telling you, we can do this together if you just try with us once. And she agreed to do it. All right, so we're gonna make, you know, we were doing comedy at that time, just comedy skit videos. And so we do a comedy skit video. You know, the big thing back then was Mentos and Coke and condom videos. So we put Mentos and Coke and condom together in one video and produced it. She was so nervous, dude, and you can see it still in that video to this day, because she had never been in front of the camera like that, and she was so nervous and so scared. But it gave her this quality on camera that I recognized immediately. It was just something about that drew you to that video. Well, we upload it, and guess what? It makes the quality standards, you know, on so I'm starting to kind of build a channel. That's not the way you looked at things then, but that's what it was. It met the quality standards, and within a week, it made like, what was it? It made like $1,200, 12 or 14. And we were like, what? No freaking way. In a week, we just made $1,200. So we're freaking out. I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta figure some more stuff out, because this is fixing to get us out of our bind, dude. We owe everybody in the world. You know, our kids are starving. We don't have anything. This is gonna give us a chance to try to get our life back. So she's on board now. Go figure. So we go and we produce another video where we take dry ice and we put it in a cooler. You know, a water cooler, round cooler, you chuck the lid on and stuff, got the water spout on the bottom. Her and my sister, and they drop the dry ice in it, chuck the lid on, flip it upside down, take off running. Amy bailed on her, by the way, on that. Amy was scared. Took off running. This thing launches as high as the pine trees. It's 100 foot in the air. Poof! Like, whoa! I didn't expect it to do all that, but it was cool as hell. So we upload that. By now, our little channel was starting to get a little notoriety, so people were actually looking for it at that site. When that video come out, within a week's time, it made like $2,400, and I was like, oh my God, what have I been doing all this time? Like, no way. And yeah, and so now, you know, we're climbing out of the hole. And so we hit the river to do jug fishing. You know, your thing is, you're always trying to think, what's the next big thing? What can I do? What can I do that nobody's seen it'll be interesting? Well, for us, we jug fished all our life. But for the world, nobody at that time really had ever seen jug fishing. It was some people in the South, but for the most part, the world hadn't seen it. On top of that, most of the world had never seen gar. You know, big needle-nosed gar and things like that. They're prehistoric looking. So Robbie's like, hey man, we could go to Heather's daddy's camp and jug fish for some of those big gar. That'd be great. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. So we borrow Heather's daddy's 14-foot aluminum boat and a little trolling motor in the back. You know, Robbie's on the motor in the back. I'm standing in the middle of the boat with a camera, and Heather's on the front. You know, and especially not seeing jug fishing, not seeing gar, but now you're going to see this this blonde woman, tough country girl out there, going to put this fish in the boat. What everybody don't realize is Heather was deathly scared of the big gar with all the teeth. But she toughed it up, you know. So we catch this gar, and finally, it took us 2 days to get one big enough to really show on film that'd be worth the crap. We catch this gar, and I'm thinking, hell, we got the goods. So we're kind of driving around that evening. And the spoonbill, we always call them spoonbill catfish. They're not catfish. They're cousin to sturgeon or something like that. But a spoonbill, a paddlefish, there was a few of them that had died and was floating around the river, and one big one up on the sandbar. Well, we've been out there all day. All right, Heather had a few beer by then. So we hit the sandbar, said, hey, we can film this thing, because I bet a lot of people don't know what it is, So we have Heather go to tell about the spoonbill. She's buzzed, heavily buzzed, and we get that video too on the same day. So we upload the jugging video of her catching the gar, and it makes a couple $1,000s in a week, and I'm going, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then we upload just her talking about the spoonbill catfish. Spoonbill, it's not a catfish. And it makes $4 grand in 1 week. And I was like, man, this is unbelievable. I can't believe it, because basically we're drawing millions of views at this tiny little website that most anybody had ever heard of. Well, hardly anybody had ever heard of. And so, but the whole time I'm sitting there going, how can they afford to do this constantly? And there was a few of us that were producing for them that got pretty big. Danebo, the guy that created Annoying Orange, I'm sure all of you know Annoying Orange. He was with us then, starting at that website. Danebo was a friend of mine. We worked together at that site on a couple videos. But anyway, so I'm like, how in the hell are they going to be able to continue this? They're overpaying. This is going to come apart. It's not going to last. It's not going to last. Well, what they were doing was they were trying to compete with YouTube. And to be able to compete with YouTube, what they were doing was they were overpaying, thinking they'd grow their viewership quick and then be able to maintain it. And the investment they put into paying people like me was be worth it in the long run. But I'm like, man, I don't think this is going to work. I start to see, red flags. This is going to go the wrong way. Well, lucky for me, at that point, YouTube had to step up to the plate, because before they did not offer any partnership, any monetization, nothing. You either uploaded a video just for the fun of it or nothing. You didn't make money off of it. But now they have their competition offering money. They got to step up and try to level the playing field. So, at that time, you had to apply for a YouTube partnership. And you had to have so many subscribers, you had to meet a certain amount of views and stuff before they would grant you a partnership that you could monetize your stuff. I'd never been to YouTube, okay? I'd never been to their site, but I was one of the top producers at their leading competitor site. So they offered us a partnership to come and start uploading our stuff to YouTube. By then we had produced quite a few videos that were making money for this other site. So I've already got material set and waiting to go. And with the money that we were making, you know, for that 6 or 8 months we were with that other company, the money we were making with them allowed us to get equipment and the ability to start producing high-level stuff really fast. Okay, that was a big deal for us to be able to do that and be able to have the capabilities. We're going from dead broke, owing everybody in the world a ton of money, and my family starving to death from a horrible incident, a horrible accident that left me laid up for, I mean, it left me screwed up for 2 years. Well, longer than that, but that's during the time. 2 years is just the time frame they kept chopping on me, okay? So, anyway, we accepted the partnership to YouTube, and I just kind of start uploading videos to it, but not really thinking that much was going to go on with it, you know, and already knowing this other company is going to die. That's going to die. And so I upload my videos I already had produced to YouTube. You guys can go back and look. I'm not even sure what they were. And, you know, they started to get a little bit of attention, but I have nothing at YouTube. I have no way of getting started. I just started. So in the first month after uploading this stuff, it said I made like 28 cents. 28 cents at YouTube, like, woo! But, you know, I've already got the stuff produced, so what does it matter? So, you know, I continue to produce stuff for this other company, but I'm also uploading it to YouTube. Well, then, only in my second month of being at YouTube, things just like take off, like skyrocket, pew, all at one time. Like, wow, what the crap? Now, I knew there was no way the YouTube pay scale was going to work like this other company's was. It's just not going to work that way. Then, you know, they had, I think, a 70-30 split ad revenue at that time, and the ad revenue was actually worth something back in those days. And so my next check for the next month was like 280 bucks. Like, wow, okay, you know, we're making some money this way. And it continued to the views and all that stuff continued to skyrocket. And I was like, wow, dude. And like I said, we had the means and the financing from the other stuff, the money we'd made with the other company. We just poured back into it. As that company sunk, I just turned all my focus at YouTube. We did, me, Robbie, and Heather. Turn all our focus at YouTube, and we're going this direction, you know. And I did. Now, we didn't make nearby the money. We wouldn't making 10, 15 grand a month with YouTube. Don't look at it that way. But we were starting to raise the point we could provide for our children, you know. And that's what we would continue to do. Well, people didn't realize that we were making money off of it. And I wasn't hiding it, you know, but that became the way we were able to support our kids. Were we making a killing? No. Were we making pretty good money? We made better money at YouTube than I was driving a truck. But were we getting absolutely rich? No. We made enough money to provide for our kids and continue to pour money back into production to be able to keep a high enough level of what was going on, you know, to satisfy the viewers. And that's what we've done for a long time. And this video has ran on way longer than I expected it to, so there's going to be a part 2. But what I'm telling you about, and I'll continue this story, that way you guys, all the ones that want to know why we did what we did and became what we were and how it all happened, the rest of that story's coming next video, I promise. But the reason why I'm telling you all this stuff is because as I come back to this and I'm having to deal with trolls, it's like, as I'm just basically explaining to y'all what I'm doing and why I'm doing things the way I am currently, trying to get things going back, you know, have comments like e-begging. That's a new one for me. I'd never heard that term. I've been away for a while. E-begging and all this different stuff. You're just trying to make money and all this stuff. Let me explain this to you. It takes money to produce this stuff like we used to, first off. 2, I ain't asking you for anything. If you tip me, or if you support our work in any way, or in a fashion that you say, hey, look, you've gave me all this entertainment all these years. You know, you've produced thousands of hours of material for YouTube. And I looked earlier, The amount of hours viewed at YouTube off of our stuff is 4 million hours. People have watched our stuff. It's a shocker. Anyway, I'm not asking for anything. Does it help us? Yes. Do I appreciate it more than you could imagine? But to sit and, you know, people want to down you because you're trying to make money at YouTube. YouTube saved my family to start with, so you know. We put in tons of hours to produce that way. You know, the fishing stuff, that's an all-day thing. And then you got another whole day of editing, you know. So am I begging or am I working for what, you know, I have got? Personally, would you go to your job every day and do it for free? Probably not. You know, do we have fun doing it? Yes, we do. I love to do that. But that's the only way it's going to be entertaining is if you can tell that we're having fun with it. Anyway, all I'm getting at is there's going to be people that view it that way. Lucky for me though, the stuff we had already produced still draws millions of views. You know, I forget, we're up to around 400 million views total so far. Shocker, I just can't believe that. But I've still drawn a check every month from YouTube, and I'm lucky that we had that. So if you're thinking, is he doing this because he's trying to get rich? I know you don't get rich at YouTube. I'm already making money off the past stuff that I've done before. I want to go back to it full stream because to me, that was the best years of my life. And I want to be able to have that opportunity and that ability to do it again. You guys ask me for it all the time. I've had thousands upon thousands of people message me, please start making videos again. I love your stuff. I need it and all. And I'm back to where I can. I'm back mentally the way I, you know, what I need to be able to do that. Is it going to be a slow start? Yes. Are y'all tired of hearing me talk on my new videos? I'm sure. But I just want to get everything out there so that you guys, the real fans that really want to keep up with what's going on with us and know about these things, get a chance to know who we are, what we've done. And I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for the support that you gave us. The good comments always outweigh the bad ones. They always have. But the bad ones, sometimes you got to address it. And that's what I was kind of hoping to do here with this. Is that so maybe some of these people that think that way and want to make those you know, those statements towards us, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. On top of that, do I feel that I am begging for anything? No, you don't understand the amount of work that I put into this. Do I feel that I earned it? I feel privileged that I was able to do it and I received what I did. So that'll be enough for this. I'm sorry, it's long as hell. Maybe you know, for some of you guys that's always wanted to know this story or found it interesting, maybe even inspiring, hopefully. There it is. I will continue the rest of it in another video, but this one's too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. It's starting to rain on me again, so I mean, go figure, rain all the time. So I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I appreciate it. The comments, I'm reading them. I'm trying to reply to the ones that I need to. I'm gonna try to ignore the freaking trolls. And I really hope you guys stay with me because you know I have the ability and you know that I've already told you what I'm wanting to do and the direction I'm wanting to go, and I'm hoping that's what you want to see. Stay with me. It's coming, I promise. I'm about to stop these talking videos and I'm about to get to it. I promise. So until next time, guys, thank you so much.